Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is officially June 1st, which is very hard for me to believe, but it is time for my May reading wrap up, and I'm also going to be sharing my June TBR in this video as well. So for the month of May, I didn't read too many books, but I read very good quality books. I literally gave each book either a 4 or 5 star. I don't think I gave any book a 3-star rating. One of the first books that I read in May was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This one is basically a book with a time loop trope. It's about a 17-year-old girl, I think she's 17, who is stuck in a time loop on Valentine's Day, and she's trying to figure out why Valentine's Day keeps repeating. It's a very cute little YA novel. I love the main character. She was so fun, and this book was surprisingly deep, especially towards the end, which I was not expecting at all because it is a YA novel. So I was expecting kind of a lighthearted read, which this still is a lighthearted read, but it definitely gets a little deep towards the end with some of the characters and some of the things that happen. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a cute little romantic comedy. If that's your thing, then definitely read this book. Lynn Painter honestly can do no wrong. If you enjoy Better Than the Movies, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this one as well. Super cute little rom-com. The next book that I read this month was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. You guys, I absolutely loved this book. This is the book to read this summer because the vibes are just 10 out of 10. It takes place in Malibu, hence the title. It has such beachy vibes. Taylor Jenkins Reid never misses for me. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It actually follows Mick Riva's kids. So if you read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, then you are familiar with the character Mick Riva. And this book follows 4 kids. Primarily, this novel follows Nina, who is the oldest out of the 4 kids, but you get to learn about all the kids. You also get to see Mick Riva's first marriage, how he fell in love with the first woman in his life. It's just filled with so much family drama as well. This book was so entertaining. You're literally going to want to read this book in one sitting, hence why it's such a good book to take with you to the pool or to the beach. The only thing with this book is that it didn't really cause the same emotions in me as Daisy Jones and the Six and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, I gave those books 5 stars. This one I only gave 4 stars because there were a couple of things towards the end that I just didn't really see the point of. There were a lot of characters that were being introduced that I felt didn't really add anything to the story, and it just felt like there was a lot filler towards the end. Like, this book probably could have ended earlier than it did, but other than that, I still think it's a very solid read, especially for the upcoming summer. Another book that I read in May was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I have been wanting to read a Abby Jimenez book for a hot minute. A lot of people rave about this author, so of course I wanted to check out one of her books for myself and to see what the hype is all about. This one took a while for me to actually enjoy. Like, when I first started reading it, I really wasn't vibing with it and I almost wanted to DNF it. Halfway through the book, it actually picked up and I actually started to enjoy it, and I was able to connect to the characters and enjoy the 2 main characters' chemistry. This one is a very cute, like, small town romance. Opposites attract. It follows 2 main characters, Alexis and Daniel. Alexis is this super rich ER doctor. She comes from a family of doctors and she lives in a big city. Daniel is a complete opposite. He's lived in a small town his entire life. He doesn't come from money. He runs a bed and breakfast, but somehow they end up falling for one another, but they are having trouble making their relationship actually work because, like I said, they're complete opposites and they come from 2 completely different worlds. Daniel is a sweetheart, so if you want a romance book where the male main character isn't like possessive or borderline toxic, then you'll enjoy this one because, like I said, Daniel is such a sweetheart. There's literally nothing wrong with him. He helps anyone that he can for absolutely no reason without expecting anything. He's willing to bend over backwards to make his relationship work with Alexis. He is literally perfect. I found Alexis a little bit annoying, but that's just my personal opinion. She did redeem herself towards the end of the book, and there was definitely a lot of character development and a lot of character growth for her, which I enjoy. So highly recommend this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and this is another book that I think is perfect to read this summer. And then I did read another Taylor Jenkins Reid book this month. I read Carrie Soto Is Back, and let me tell you guys, I absolutely loved this book. I gave it a 5-star 5-star rating. It basically follows a tennis player who is coming out of retirement after 5 or 6 years, and she is looking to reclaim one of her titles as the greatest tennis player of all time. And it basically shows how she became a tennis player, how she trained every day as a young kid, and how she's training again to reclaim her title after retirement. It's a really beautiful story. It shows how hard it is to be a women's athlete, how hard it is to be a athlete who is considered past her prime by everyone around her. And there's just so many layers to Carrie's character. Like, I still don't know if I love or hate her, because there's some times where I loved how ambitious she was, I loved how motivated she was. Then there were other times when she was so rude, she acted very childish. I just didn't really like her in certain parts of the book. But that's Taylor Jenkins Reid for you. She loves writing main characters who are complex and you really don't know if you love them or hate them, but you still find yourself rooting for them. And I just really enjoyed this book. It's more than just about tennis. So if you're putting off reading this book because you read the synopsis and you're like, I don't really care about tennis, forget that. Just read this book, because I was the same exact way. I have never watched a tennis competition in my life, but I still very much enjoyed this book and I gave it a 5-star rating. This is one of those books that you're going to want to read in one sitting, so prepare yourself for that. Take this book to the beach with you and I promise you, you're going to have a very good time with this one. And then I read 20 Years Later by Carrie Soto on the Kindle app on my phone. This one I enjoyed, but I only gave it 3.5 stars. It's like a mystery slash thriller. The only reason I didn't give it a 4-star is because it's a very slow. So if you're into slow burns, and I feel like you'll really enjoy this slow burn mystery. I prefer my thrillers to be a little bit more fast paced, which is why I only gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. It basically involves 2 plots. So one plot is following a character on 9/11. The second plot is following the main character of the book, Avery. 20 years later, she's actually following a lead on a story that happened on 9/11. There's a murder mystery element to this book. There's also family drama. There's a little bit of romance. It's a very interesting read, and I've seen this book everywhere lately, so I feel like it's getting a lot of attention. Like I said, I think it's a really good slow burn mystery slash thriller if you're into that sort of thing. But if you're not really into slow burns, I would say skip on this book because you might find it a little bit too boring. I did find that it dragged in certain parts, but overall I still would recommend it if you're looking for a good little thriller slash mystery novel to read this summer. So those were the books that I read in the month of May. And now I want to share with you guys the books that I plan to read in June. I'm all about books that have like summer vibes, at least for the month of June. So I feel like I picked up some really good books to read this month. The first book that I want to read is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is actually the sequel to When in Rome, which I actually read earlier this year and really enjoyed it. This one follows Noah's little sister, Amelia. She's this quiet, introverted girl who has been having problems dating. She enlists the help of Amelia's bodyguard to help her date, to help her not be boring. It's supposed to be like a cute little small town, fake dating, friends to lovers maybe, romance. As they start to practice dates, they start to develop feelings for one another. Will, the male main character in this book, is not looking for love. Annie is looking for love, but she's not looking for the type of guy that Will is. I feel like this is going to be a really cute little novel. Sarah Adams books sometimes don't really do it for me. I read The Cheat Sheets, which I didn't really like. I read When in Rome and I gave that book a 3 out of 5 stars. It was cute, so I'm hoping this one's even better than When in Rome, but we shall see. And the cover is really cute, so love that. And then the next book that I want to read in June is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walker. When Meredith Fox lost her sister Claire 18 months ago, she shut everyone out. But this summer, she's determined to join the world again. So I love that it takes place during the summertime. The annual family vacation to Martha's Vineyard seems like the perfect place to reconnect. Her entire extended family is gathering for a big summer wedding, and although Meredith is stateless after being unexpectedly dumped, she's excited to participate in the traditional Fox family game of assassin that will take place during the week of wedding festivities. But when Meredith forms an alliance with a cute groomsman, she finds herself getting distracted. Meredith tries to focus on the game and win it for her sister, but she can't help falling for him, and as the week progresses, she realizes she's not only at risk of losing the game, but also her heart. I've heard really good things about this book, and I meant to read this in May, but I just never got to it. So I'm really excited excited and determined to read it in June. The next book that I want to read is the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. Since I enjoyed Part of Your World so much, I decided to pick this one up. 2 years after losing her fiance, Sloane still can't seem to get her life back on track. With her new pet by her side, Sloane finally starts to feel more like herself. Then after weeks of unanswered texts, Tucker's owner reaches out. He's a musician on tour in Australia, and bottom line, he wants Tucker back. Well, Sloane's not about to give up her dog without a fight. But what if this Jason guy really loves Tucker? As their flirty texts turn into long calls, Sloane can't deny a connection. There's no telling what could happen when they meet in person. The question is, with his music career on the rise, how long will Jason really stick around? And is it possible for Sloane to survive another heartbreak? The book before this one, I think, is called The Friend Zone, and one of you guys told me that I should read that book before I read this one, since the main character Sloane is first introduced in that book and you learn something super important about her. So I definitely want to pick up The Friend Zone as well in June, but this one I'm going to read and I hope it's good. And then I want to read a third Abby Jimenez book in June, and I actually haven't bought it. I don't know if I'm going to read it on the Kindle app on my phone or if I actually want the physical copy, but it's Yours Truly, and it's actually the sequel to Part of Your World. It follows a character that was introduced in Part of Your World who I actually fell in love with, Brianna. I feel like her book is going to be even better than Part of Your World because I loved her character so much. She was so sassy, she was so outspoken and funny. So I feel like Yours Truly is going to be a 10 out of 10. At least I hope so. But this one is basically about Dr. Brianna's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized. Her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor, and that promotion she wants, oh, that's probably going to the new man doctor who's already registering 87 on Brianna's pain in my ass scale. But just when all systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. And it's actually a really good letter, like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. Worse, he might be this fantastically funny and subversively likable guy who's terrible at first impression, because suddenly he and Brie are exchanging letters, sharing lunch dates in her sob closet, and discussing the merits of freakishly tiny horses. But when Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother, she wonders how she can resist this quietly new doctor, especially when he calls in a favor she can't refuse. This one already sounds like it's going to be hilarious, which I feel like Part of Your World really wasn't a romantic comedy. At least I didn't find it really funny, but I feel like this one is definitely going to be a true romantic comedy. It's actually going to have very funny parts, especially since it follows Brianna. Absolutely loved her character. So very excited to read that one, and I think that one just came out. So let me know in the comments below if you read Yours Truly and what were your thoughts on that book. Did you enjoy it more than Part of Your World? Because I feel like I'm definitely going to enjoy it more. And then the next book that I want to read in June is actually a recommendation from you guys. A lot of you guys have been telling me that I need to read One Italian Summer. This one is by Rebecca Sorrell, I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but it's supposed to be a really cute summer book that takes place in Italy. Honestly, by the synopsis, it's reminded me a lot of Love and Gelato, which I read last year and absolutely loved. This one is not YA Love and Gelato was. This one is about when Katie's mother dies, she is left reeling. Carol wasn't just Katie's mom, but her best friend and first phone call. To make matters worse, their planned mother-daughter trip of a lifetime looms. Katie has been waiting years for Carol to take her, and now she is faced with embarking on the adventure alone. But as soon as she steps foot on the Amalfi Coast, Katie begins to feel her mother's spirit. And then Carol appears in the flesh, healthy, suntan, and 30 years old. Katie doesn't understand what is happening or how all she can focus on is that she has somehow impossibly gotten her mother back. Over the course of One Italian Summer, Katie gets to know Carol, not as her mother, but as the young woman before her. She is not exactly who Katie imagined, and soon Katie must reconcile the mother who knew everything with the young woman who does not yet have a clue. So I think this is going to be a really beautiful novel that tackles grief and that tackles moving on. So I'm actually really excited to read that one, and I feel like the summer vibes are just going to be immaculate, especially since it takes place in Italy and the scenery is just going to be beautiful. So very excited to read that one as well. And then the last book that I want to read in June is by one of my favorite authors, Emily Henry. She recently came out with a new book called Happy Place, and I haven't had a chance to buy it, but I'm definitely going to order it very soon. I love Emily Henry. I feel like she is the queen of beach reads, and you really can't go wrong with any of her books. I feel like she has a book for everyone. This one follows two couples. They met in college, so they're college sweethearts. Every year they go on a vacation to Maine with their group of friends. This year, however, they actually broke up before this trip, but they decide to not tell their friend group since the house that they're staying at in Maine is actually getting sold. So this will probably be their last group vacation together, and they don't want to ruin it for their friends, so they're pretending to still be in a relationship. And I just feel like this is going to be a really cute novel, and it's probably going to break my heart because I feel like every Emily Henry book has tugged at my heart. I gave 5 stars to Beach Read, so I'm hoping this one is just as good as Beach Read or even better, which I don't even know how you can make a book better than Beach Read, but you never know. Let me know in the comments if you read Happy Place and what were your thoughts on it. Did you enjoy it? I actually have been staying away from reviews and spoilers, so I don't really know what people are saying about Happy Place, but hopefully they're saying good things because my expectations are super high for that book. But that is pretty much it for today's video. Let me know what books you're reading for the month of June. What were some of your best reads in May? I would love to know. And I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.